The Mothman Prophecies, 2002, a haunting experience rooted in teenage wonder. I first watched The Mothman Prophecies back in high school when it was released in 2002. At that age, movies like this eerie atmospheric and steeped in mysterious folklore had a way of sticking with me, sparking late-night conversations and lingering questions about the unknown. Revisiting the film years later, it holds up remarkably well, offering a slow-burning blend of supernatural thriller and psychological drama that still resonates. Personal context and first impressions. Coming from the perspective of a teenager encountering this movie fresh, The Mothman Prophecies felt like a deeply unsettling glimpse into a world just beyond normal perception. The film taps into primal fear of the unknown and the idea that some things, like the mysterious Mothman itself, might be impossible to fully understand or escape. For a high schooler curious about urban legends and the paranormal, it was a fascinating and eerie introduction to cryptid mythology, plot, and narrative. The story centers on Richard Gere's character, John Klein, a journalist grappling with the tragic loss of his wife, Mary. When he starts experiencing strange visions and mysterious phone calls, John's search for answers leads him to the small West Virginia town of Point Pleasant, where sightings of the Mothman have coincided with bizarre occurrences and growing fear. From the start, the movie doesn't spoon-feed you answers. Instead, it invites you to step into John's unsettled mind, experiencing the blurred line between reality and hallucination. This pacing and ambiguity can feel frustrating at times, especially if you want clear-cut explanations, but it's exactly this uncertainty that builds the film's haunting tension. Themes that stuck with me. The film isn't just about a scary creature. It's about grief, fate, and how people cope with forces beyond their control. When I first watched it in high school, the themes of loss and searching for meaning amidst chaos felt surprisingly mature and nuanced for a genre film. John's struggle to reconcile logic with belief mirrored the universal human challenge of confronting the unknown. The Mothman itself acts less as a monster and more like a symbol, a warning, an omen, or perhaps an embodiment of fate. This symbolic use elevates the film beyond typical monster flicks and makes it linger in the mind long after the credits roll. Performances and characters. Richard Gere delivers one of his more subtle, grounded performances here. As John Klein, he conveys a quiet desperation and vulnerability that anchor the film's eerie atmosphere. Laura Linney's Connie Mills offers a strong, empathetic counterbalance. Her rationality and compassion add emotional depth to the story. I also appreciate the supporting cast, including Will Patton as a sheriff, who embodies the town's simmering unease, and Deborah Messing, whose portrayal of a woman tormented by the Mothman's presence add an extra layer of emotional weight. Direction and atmosphere. Mark Pellington's direction leans heavily into mood and tone. The film's cinematography uses muted colors, shadows, fog, and rain to create an oppressive sense of dread. The unsettling sound design, full of low drones and eerie noises, intensifies the feeling that something unseen is always lurking. One of the most memorable aspects is how the movie disorients you with sudden cuts and dreamlike sequences that blur the line between John's visions and reality. For a teenager, this style was immersive and unnerving, and as an adult, it still holds its power. What works and what doesn't? The Mothman Prophecies is strongest when it leans into its mystery and mood. The blend of real-life folklore, like the tragic 1967 Silver Bridge collapse, with supernatural elements gives the film a chilling sense of authenticity. It's more thoughtful and atmospheric than typical thrillers, which I've always appreciated. That said, the film's deliberate pacing and ambiguity might not be for everyone. Some parts feel vague or underdeveloped, and the Mothman itself is mostly glimpsed in shadows or fleeting images, which can be disappointing if you want a more traditional monster movie. Final thoughts and rating. Looking back, The Mothman Prophecy still stands as a unique film that balances psychological horror, mystery, and folklore with a haunting emotional core. It's a film that rewards patience and a willingness to embrace uncertainty. For me, this movie remains a 4.5 out of 5, nearly perfect for what it sets out to do. It's an eerie, atmospheric journey into the unknown that left a lasting impression when I was in high school and continues to do so today. If you're drawn to stories about cryptids, unexplained phenomena, and psychological suspense with a strong emotional underpinning, The Mothman Prophecies is definitely worth a watch.